RTL Football Podcast, now live on Twitch and on YouTube at 8 p.m. UK time on Thursdays.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Road to Legends Football Podcast, aka the RTL Football Podcast. I am your host this week. Today, Jono is sick, so that is why he is not here. So, me, Gormy, I am your host today. We are joined by Mr. Crazy Boom. How are you doing, my man?
I am doing good.
How are you doing, Mr. Chris Watt?
I am very well, thank you very much, Gorman.
All right, so today we got a couple things on the agenda. We're going to be covering some of the Premier League games from this past weekend. Also going to be talking about the Champions League and somewhat about the Europa League, as the Europa League just wrapped up today. And we're going to be covering the future of the U.S. men's national team, a.k.a. how far can Christian Pulisic carry us in the World Cup? So, first things first that we are going to be covering, Newcastle and Aston Villa. Newcastle win 4-0. What were your thoughts on that, Mr. Chris Watt?
Newcastle just keep going strength to strength, don't they? That's the last couple of games. They've kept a clean sheet as well, and they're playing some nice football. I mean, Callum Wilson, late call up for England squad, maybe. Who knows?
I think he should for sure. I mean, Southgate was in attendance.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I think Newcastle could, depending on other teams, be a shout for the top four. That's a big call. It depends on how their January goes as well, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think that the injury to Martinez was definitely unfortunate. And yeah. I think that if he was still in net, it would have been a different game. Probably a little bit closer. But I mean, who's going to stop Mr. Miggy Almiron? Can anyone stop that dude right now? He had more goals in October than Jack Grealish has had in his Man City career so far.
I was literally just about to say that.
I was going to say we were all thinking Jack Grealish. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, see if you think, right, take Almiron 12 months ago. Mm-hmm. Those goals would not have happened. No, something's clicked with Almiron. I don't know if it's maybe the kind of style of football that Eddie Howe's bringing to Newcastle,
or what was said.
He obviously said
I think of that lit a fire under.
Yeah, that as well. But I think the way Almiron's playing, it suits the way Newcastle's playing just now. Mm-hmm. Coming off that right hand side onto his left foot, he's taking some of the best defenders out of the game. He's went from strength to strength, and I remember watching him for Atlanta. Him and Joseph Martinez striking the partnership up when they played together, and that's the Almiron we're seeing now from his Atlanta days. Can they keep hold of him? That's another question. Can they keep hold of him?
Well, I don't see him leaving, because I mean, you think about it. He's like you're saying, like, is it what Eddie Howe is doing? Is that the reason why he is succeeding so well right now? Because the goals he's scoring, they're not sitters, they're not tap-ins. They are quality goals. I mean, that goal against Villa was beautiful. When I saw him strike that, I was like, oh my word.
He's full of confidence. It shows you what confidence does to a player. I mean, because like I said, 12 months ago, Almiron wasn't he was taking the shots, but there was no kind of effort behind him. He was taking shots long range, but excuse me. I think it's the players he's playing with as well. They've given him confidence and they've given the freedom to play as well, which, and I mean, no disrespect to what Steve Bruce and I've done for Newcastle for the seasons that they've had really much money to play with, but the players that they brought in have helped Almiron. The formation that they're playing as well. I mean, Gormares behind them as well. Mm-hmm. There's Newcastle are a threat. Newcastle will be a threat this season, and it all depends on the signings they can make in January, which I can see being quite a few because of the money behind them.
Boom. Do you think Miggy can keep it up? Do you think he can carry this forward through the World Cup break and still be doing it come December once games start up again?
I think he could if he looks after himself and keeps up the training and stuff. Their next few games are quite interesting. Like they have Southampton, you'd expect them to keep up the form against Southampton with their defense. And then they do have two tough ones before they have before they break for the World Cup. They have Chelsea.
That'll be interesting.
Game, that's an interesting one.
Is that at Stamford Bridge or is it
that
Stamford
is at
Bridge?
St James's Park.
Difficult place to go, especially just now. It's a horrible place to go.
It's become a very tough place to go, especially because you have the entire city's always been behind them. I mean, they were setting records for attendance records when they were down
with Chelsea currently sitting in 6th, they would need that result as well themselves. So
plus with
going into
as well, I mean, it's going to be a difficult game because the amount of injuries that Chelsea now have.
Losing
that's the game just before the World Cup break, so both of them will want to finish with a win.
Speaking on that, from what I've seen today, the Premier League is asking the clubs if they want to postpone the last game before the World Cup. So,
if you were a manager, would you vote in favor of doing that?
But that's
not given with the other games that have already been rescheduled. That you'll just be moving that hectic to another.
Yeah, there's just going to be more and more.
Because what teams could do if they're seriously concerned about injuries, because we're about to get into a team that would probably be worried about that. They can play the youngsters. See,
true.
I mean, you can play the young guns if you want to, if you're seriously concerned about it.
Liverpool were told that one time during the Carabao Cup, just play your kids.
Yep.
In one of the later rounds, they were just told, play your kids, suck it up.
Yeah, it's just because you think about it. Some of these teams, like say Man City and Arsenal, they don't want their players to get injured. Tottenham, they won't want their players to get injured. Play some of the young guns instead of playing Harry Kane up front. Give Dane Scarlett a go. It's pretty simple. If you're concerned about injuries, you can do that.
Yep.
Now, getting into Tottenham v. Bournemouth. Tottenham won 3-2. Boom. What are your thoughts?
This was a game where they could have lost by more to Bournemouth, but somehow they managed to win, Tottenham. It was very much Bournemouth in control from what I saw, and then out of nowhere, Bentancur literally gets them back into it. And Kiefer Moore, whatever, he's very good. Again, he has spells where he just scores and then doesn't.
Do you think Kiefer Moore is a Premier League level striker?
No.
And he's one of those odd ones where you could make a case and you couldn't make a case at different points in the season.
I think he's an elite level championship striker.
Yeah. He's what Mitrovic was beforehand. Mitrovic has proven us wrong in that aspect.
Yeah, because Mitrovic
destroying teams, and then when he goes up, it wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Kiefer Moore, like you said, he's probably a top half championship team player. He reminds me of Ricky Lambert in a way. He's came up through the ranks. He started off low, worked his way up. Now he's getting the rewards playing in the Premier League. But is he going to set the world on fire? Not really. But from his performance on Saturday for Bournemouth, the 2 goals that he scored, it's in a way it's good for Wales because they'll have an informed striker going into the World Cup as well if he gets picked. But
there's no reason why he shouldn't be picked because that is their best striker.
Yeah, unless he gets injured, like everyone's dropping like flies just now.
Yeah.
So, but
Jamie Carragher had some comments on that.
Yes, I did see. But Spurs, what Conte said in the dressing room at half time, I'd love to have been a fly on the wall on that one. I'd have loved to have been a fly on the wall because they came out And
To
absolutely,
be honest, all this week in Conte's games, I would love to have been a fly on the wall
yeah,
because in each first half, they were terrible.
yeah,
Yeah. They pull a usual Tottenham usually the first half, and then the second half it's like, okay, I guess we want to win. Because I mean, you look at that scoreline, 3-2 against Bournemouth. Yes, Bournemouth are playing much, much better. But you think about it, a newly promoted team and Tottenham are supposedly a top 6 team, and they're struggling to finish against a team that's newly promoted.
yeah.
It'll be an interesting one this weekend for Tottenham, considering their both league forms are up and down of Liverpool and Tottenham going into
Very
this.
much so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's either going to be 0-0 or 5-5. So
That to be fair, you probably won't be wrong. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones you're like, right, what's this going to finish up? It could easily be a high scoring game, but it could also be a very, very boring game.
Yeah.
Because Conte doesn't want to lose, and he can set his team up being the Italian kind of mastermind that he is, and set up to defend.
I mean, the way that he plays has literally changed the Serie A on how they play. Because I was watching a video 2 weeks ago, I think it was, and it was a breakdown on how a majority of teams set up, whether it be the Premier League, Liga, Bundesliga, whatever it may be. Serie A is the only league whose main tactic involves a back 5 or a back 3.
Well, you've seen that at Chelsea when after the Arsenal game they get hammered at the Emirates, and then 2 days later, and next at half time they come out playing a back 3. So it just shows you. I mean, I like Conte. I think he's a fantastic manager. Do I see him staying in the Premier League? No. I think he'll.
I like how animated he gets.
Oh yeah, he's passionate. He's passionate. He's Italian. He's passionate. You see it? He's
everything he says with his hands.
My favorite one with Conte was when he got sent off in the Champions League when that goal got disallowed.
Yeah,
his uproar.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, if both of you were in that position, you'd be going absolutely.
Yeah, because to be honest, I can't blame him for thinking that it was onside because the rules have changed every single week.
Nobody
the rules keep changing in regards to those kind of decisions. They find a way to get rid of the goal each time by changing the rules to something else.
And see, the thing is, the rules change weekly. We don't know what rules are coming and going these days.
It's almost like managers need a crash course in what the rules is for this game just before they go out on the pitch. Like, here's rules. What?
Officiating is consistently inconsistent nowadays.
Yep.
But
exactly, I agree.
Moving on to the next match, we've got Brighton Hove Albion 4, Chelsea 1. I love this result. What do you think, Chris?
I don't.
Really?
Yeah. My English team is Chelsea, sadly. So, yeah. So I actually watched the game on Saturday afternoon, and I was going to do a TikTok on it, but I was too angry to say anything, and I didn't want to get blocked. Personally, it was an embarrassing result for Graham Potter. Going back to his old club. After the first 5 minutes, Brighton could have been about 4 up. Thiago Silva saved him. Kepa made some great saves as well. But the way they set up, it was like Potter's going away present to Brighton. There you go, have the 3 points. That's
the way I'm thinking about it, and it's unfortunate because this
manager had not won not won a game with Brighton until this game.
Exactly. I mean, Chelsea made Brighton look like it was prime Barcelona. I mean, Trossard, he's playing it out his skin.
He's another player like Miguel Almiron that is like if he keeps this up, you could definitely see him get a move in the summer if I were him, I'd definitely stick out the entire season there because he is probably the most key figure besides Alexis McAllister in that side right now.
Right,
Them two and Lamptey.
I'm going to throw a question to you both.
Mm-hmm.
Leandro Trossard, is he good enough for the Belgian national team?
Yes, come off the bench. Super sub. I would not put it past Roberto Martinez and Thierry Henry to include him. I mean, they're watching all these guys week in, week out. I'm pretty sure Roberto Martinez and Thierry Henry watch more football than any managerial team out there. Like they're always trying to figure out, okay, what can we do better? And I think that Belgium are going to be really scary at the World Cup.
Considering Belgium as a whole in the last few seasons with the talent they've had, they have underwhelmed going into the final stages of each. They could use someone like Trossard as a different kind of person on the thing rather than their usual Bichouai.
Origi. Yeah, because I mean, if you see either one of them go, it's because of the name.
Yeah.
Whereas if Trossard goes, it's because of the quality that he's bringing and the form that he is in.
Yeah.
Because you don't pass up on a player like that. It's like Callum Wilson right now. Yes, he does not have the flashiest name, but he's on form. Yeah, he's on form. He's on fire. I mean, he's doing really well. Southgate got to see it in person.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we've talked about it in the past. He's in the Premier League, so he's definitely going to get a look.
Yeah.
Now, with Belgium, they don't really care about where you play. It's, are you quality enough to be in the team? And I think, to answer your question, yes, Trossard should go to the World Cup. Will he? Don't know. How they will utilize him, don't know that either.
Yeah.
And don't worry, Jono, we won't get you started on VAR again. See a comment there.
That could be soon. That could be a talking point soon, shall we say? But go back to Chelsea. They set up very, very poor. My opinion, Cucurella is not worth £50 million.
Absolutely not. The amount of money that they were able to bring in for him and Basuma was incredible because come January, a big spender will be Brighton because they're going to want to kind of conform to the new manager's way of playing.
Exactly.
And I mean, this result, yes, 2 of the goals were own goals, but you can look at it as, okay, Graham Potter gifted them the win, or they actually went out and earned that win, which personally, I think that they did because Trossard was a man on a mission.
Yeah.
I mean,
he also
been every week.
To give Chelsea a bit of a favor, like Kepa on form got injured during that. Yep. They were already down a bit by then, but he might have been able to keep the score down a bit more.
It was 2-0 at half time, and then Kepa got injured. Just
he got subbed, and then it became 3-1 after that.
I mean, if I am Graham Potter, I'd be looking at another goalkeeper. Because I would say Kepa is
outside of Mendy, who has won a Africa Cup of Nations, and is a top quality goalkeeper, and Kepa, who's also quality.
Yes, but I would say Kepa right now is number 1 for Chelsea. Mendy is not in form.
Yeah, he's in bad form right now.
Yeah.
That's my only. I think if Chelsea are to compete at a higher level than they are at this moment in time, they need an out-and-out number 1. I mean, Kepa's got the gloves at this moment in time because of his form, but going forward, they might have to look at somebody else, like maybe a Jan Oblak.
It doesn't get easier for Chelsea as they have Arsenal next.
Yes, on
Sunday. You guys have Gabriel Slonina coming in January.
Hey, to be fair, I mean, well, he's training with Chelsea just now. He's at Chelsea right now, so he is training with the first team. Mm-hmm. But he obviously can't play until January because he's already paid for another one. That's a good point.
You guys will have investment in January. You guys will bring in somebody, to bolster everything. Now, boom. Do you think Chelsea are dangerous enough to finish top 4?
At the moment, no.
If they bolster in January, what
if
about
they
that?
bolster, they have a chance, but it all depends on coming from United fans. That I see us improving each week as a United fan, and we're getting better. And Newcastle at the moment look edging. And in hindsight, that 0-0 draw against Newcastle, good result for United, given their form.
Yep.
So it's just Chelsea at the moment look like Graham Potter is boosting them up, and they're getting results now and again. They're lacking, especially in like the United Chelsea game. When you're 1-0 up that late, you gotta see out the game.
Yeah.
To allow us back into it that late shows there's a slight issue there, mentality wise.
Yeah, a slight naivety. Me personally as well, the injuries for Chelsea do not help.
Yeah,
everyone has injuries right now. Though.
Chilwell's out injured. Yeah, Chilwell's out injured. James is out injured.
Chilwell and
James is both out injured. Fofana's out injured. Kepa's out injured. Kovacic has not been fully fit all season, so
you had to play Zakaria for the first time.
Hey, to be fair, Zakaria looked well. Good last. Zakaria did look good.
His first game,
he scored.
Yeah, he scored exactly. But I don't think Chelsea will get top 4 this season. I think
opinion. They could finish 5th.
They'll get. I think they'll finish 5th, but it depends. Like you both said, it depends on who they can bring in.
Yeah. At the start of the season, I predicted Chelsea, looking at their squad, to not be the weakest out of the top 6, the traditional top 6. But I didn't expect Liverpool to be having the season they were having.
Yeah.
When I made that prediction.
Me.
We'll be coming on to that in a minute, Gorman.
Yeah, we're covering that now. Liverpool lose to Leeds 2-1 to Leeds United States of America. To
be fair, you're not wrong.
No, they're not. I mean, they're headed up by Jesse Marsh. They got Tyler Adams. They got Brendan Aronson. And, I mean, who knows? For all we know, if Graham Potter doesn't want Christian Pulisic, he'll end up over there as well. But speaking about Leeds and Liverpool, Leeds wanted it more. Plain and simple. Because Liverpool had every possible chance to win the game, and they didn't. Every possible chance. We could have lost by more than a goal because Brendan Aronson smacked that shot off of the crossbar.
Worst touch I've ever seen.
What?
Bamford also had a terrible touch when he was 1-on-1.
Bamford is just garbage in general, to be honest. But
exactly.
Liverpool, I know that we have injuries. I know that it is a problem. But I don't know if it's because of how many games we played last season, and we don't really get that big of a break in between Champions League final and then the start of this season, and we lose, in my opinion, probably the most important player, Sadio Mane, because Sadio Mane was able to take a lot of the focus off of Salah.
Yeah, he made Salah look better.
There's no one to do that anymore.
People see Salah as the main target now to just mark out of the game.
Yeah, and that's what they do. I mean, Mo did get a goal, but I mean, you focus on Mo, you have Darwin Nunez who doesn't know how to pass, and when he tries to finish, he just shoots it right at Illan Meslier. Then you got Trent Alexander-Arnold, who has forgotten how to defend, and is why we're thinking about moving him into the midfield for right now. We got an injury to a center back every freaking week, and you don't know who's going to be playing with Virgil van Dijk.
And what I was saying early on in the season, one of your best players injured is Diaz. Diaz was doing a lot of the
when that injury happened, I was like, okay, we're kind of screwed right now until January.
Because I said
apparently we're thinking about going for Lamer of RB Leipzig to bolster the midfield. That is a Band-Aid on a flesh wound right now, though. We basically need to chill, relax. Everyone needs to stop flipping out that Liverpool is having a bad season because, yeah, we are. Like, no lie. We 100% are. But let's just try and focus on finishing as high as we possibly can, doing what we can in the cups, and then
I see it.
Not necessarily rebuild, retool, I guess. I don't want to anything. But retool the squad to the point to where we're scary Liverpool again, you know.
In certain games that I've seen, I see it very much like a lot of the games that I saw from United last season, where sometimes we get a performance and a result, and then the next game we look terrible completely and never played football ever.
Yeah, that's literally how it is. Like in the Champions League, we look great right now. Like we look great. Come the league, we look like a League One side.
And in that you didn't pick, like, on paper, the team that you choose against Leeds was a good team. The only one, Harvey Elliott, was the only youngster, and the rest were people that you would think Liverpool would usually pick.
Yeah, but the thing about that is Jesse Marsch has that Leeds team ready to run through a wall every single
They're just
weekend.
not getting the results for them.
I think what they need is a striker because Bamford is just not it. You get a legitimate striker, great. You're going to be able to do something.
And there was a lot of talk going into that game where Jesse Marsch, some of the media were trying to claim he was going to get sacked if he didn't get a result.
Jesse Marsch was not going to get sacked.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to get sacked, but the paper was.
If he did, because we're going to talk about it later, if he did, I would have, if I were the head of the U.S. men's national team and Jesse Marsch got sacked from Leeds, I would have sacked Greg Berhalter 5 seconds later and said, all right, Jesse, come on home. World Cup.
Come on home. Sadly, that game was also the end of Van Dijk's record of always winning at Anfield.
Yep.
Yeah. Which was an unbelievable record, by the way.
Very much so. So, Gorman, right? I was looking at a stat. Leeds outran Liverpool by, I think it was like 20 kilometres in that game. And
Can you put that in American terms?
Put it in American terms. What do you think? This is an American talk show?
Although
we don't do kilometers in Celsius over here.
Although, Gormy, I want to point this out that Jono is predicting Liverpool to finish 10th. In the comments there.
Yeah, well, Jono's team hasn't.
He says City to win the league, Arsenal 2nd, United 3rd, Newcastle 4th, Spurs 5th, Chelsea 6th, and Liverpool 10th.
I mean, Man U haven't won anything, memorable since, early
2017. So 2017 was the one?
No, that's not memorable.
That Europa League final was memorable to me.
So, that's what I'm saying. So, Leeds outran Liverpool. That's unheard of for a Liverpool team to be outplayed and outrun by.
But that's what I was saying about Jesse Marsch. He has them ready to run through a wall every weekend.
So,
they will outwork everyone, even if they lose. They will outwork people. Brendan Aronson is one of the main players that will. That kid does not know the word stop. He only knows the word go.
I've noticed that.
And their new signing that they brought on, Ganonto or whatever.
He was very good. The Italian boy.
Yeah, he was quite good coming on.
Yeah, he's very fast.
Do you know, this is a question I want to ask you, Gormy. Right, Liverpool. Do they need younger players to come through that team?
Well, I don't want to become a Sevilla where we're the oldest team in the league.
Well, I think they're not far off.
We're definitely not far off. But
yeah,
I don't want to be the oldest team in the league and banking on all of them performing like they always have been, because they're not. The older you get, unfortunately, the worse you get, because you're not going to be your knees are going to turn to dust. Your legs are not going to have the same juice anymore. Your stamina is not going to be what it once was either. So, yes, I definitely think that we need to go younger. We need the right players. We can't afford to miss on signings.
Yeah.
Because as much as people want to say, oh, Liverpool have had the investment, they've had the money, look at what they spent on Darwin Nunez, we consistently have to sell players to be
Sell
able
before you
to
buy.
buy
Yeah.
players.
Yep.
We don't have just an
Sure, you
endless
sold.
amount of money like Man City or now
Yeah,
Newcastle or
the big
Chelsea
example of that was Coutinho. When you sold Coutinho for all the money, then you got Allison and Van Dijk with that Coutinho
Mhm.
money that invested. You had to sell Coutinho to Barca for a lot of money, and then you
Mhm.
invested that into two players that improved you at that time.
Exactly. I mean, and like Hub just said in the comments, which, by the way, if you guys are listening on audio, we are live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. So make sure to check us out at the RTL Football Podcast. But Hub just said Liverpool have some very talented youngsters who are probably 2 years off being really first team ready. I definitely agree with that because we do.
100%.
We
they
have
need
some very, very
24
good youngsters.
A few
But
24-year-olds.
we need 100% to change our mindset if we are to give them all the time that they need in the first team, because you aren't going to be able to do. I personally think Harvey
You have a
Elliott
lot of
would be-
31-year-olds in your team currently.
Yeah, I personally think that Harvey Elliott would be one hell of a player for Liverpool if he was playing week in, week out. So if we're okay with Jurgen Klopp being our manager, which I hope he is for the rest of his career.
And Carvalho would be a very good player if you start playing him.
Exactly. Another player that should be playing week in, week out, but we still have Mo. We got Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz is younger too.
Mhm.
Same with Darwin Nunez. So they are part of the future. But I mean, if we want a bright future and to utilize these youngsters, we have to be okay with not being a Champions League team for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you can't play youngsters week in, week out, give them the time they need to develop playing in your system in the way that you want them to play, because they're not going to get Jurgen Klopp football anywhere else besides at Liverpool.
And as much
You
as
have
he's
to
been
be
a
okay
good
with
player
being a
for
Europa
you,
League team.
as much as he's been a good player for you, I think you got to start like weeding Jordan Henderson out more out of the team.
Yeah,
I think he's
yeah,
got
for
to the
sure,
point where he's
because
just not.
he's one of those players that, like I said previously, knees turn to dust, your legs aren't what they once were.
Mhm.
And he's a phenomenal captain. But I mean, like you said, you got to start weeding off players like Hendo, like Mo, like Virgil van Dijk. Yes, they're all top quality, world-class players. But there comes a time where there's a changing of the guard, and you better do it sooner rather than way too late.
Yeah.
And Jono coming in for a joke on the YouTube side of things in the chat saying, give it to Steven Gerrard until the end of the season.
No. Nope.
Please?
No.
To be fair, I did see Steven Gerrard at Rangers. He'd done well with Rangers. I mean, okay, it's not the greatest of leagues, but he did do well. But when he went down to Aston Villa, that's less to
He
be
didn't have
desired.
time. I don't care what anyone says.
I agree. I do agree.
If he was underwhelming or what, the dude didn't have time. Look
Yeah.
at Frank Lampard. How much time does that man need to prove that he is a quality manager? Because last I checked, Stevie G won a league.
Yep.
Yes, it was in Scotland, but he won a league.
Yep.
And he consistently built that team to where he knew he could win.
Yeah.
You give him
Speaking of
a
sticking
year
to
at
time,
Aston Villa when all of a sudden Aston Villa get a boatload of money from selling Jack Grealish, and all of a sudden they think, oh, we're a top 7 team. No, you're not.
No.
And if you want to look at
Nowhere-
giving people time, you look at Arteta and Arsenal. He was given time.
Yeah,
Those
because
first few seasons.
Steve wanted me to be on pod today. Unfortunately, he was not able to make it. He is a Villa fan, and I would still be saying this right now if he was on. Villa are not as good as they think they are. They do have very high quality players, but they're all brand new to the team. You have to get them to work in the system, and you already get rid of Gerrard, and then, I mean, bringing in Unai Emery, that's awesome. But they were going for Thomas Tuchel and Poch.
Yeah.
They both managed at PSG. They both managed clubs bigger than Villa.
They both turned the Villa
I
down.
think because Unai Emery, he managed PSG as well. He managed Arsenal. But then
Once again, John, it's
he
good
went
evening,
down
not good
to
evening.
Villarreal,
Hmm.
and now he's back at Villa. So he's kind of, I would definitely say Unai Emery is more realistic for Villa.
Bringing it back to Liverpool, Hub says he would only start to really panic if Klopp left.
Yeah, I would probably jump off a bridge that has water underneath it, so I'd be fine. Okay, don't worry about that. But moving on to the next result, Arsenal 5, Nottingham Forest 0. What do we think, boys?
Just another walkover for Arsenal. I mean, I watched the highlights of this game. Arsenal really never got a second gear. Forest were poor. Take nothing away from Arsenal.
Looking back, Forest go from winning against Liverpool.
Yeah,
they absolutely smash it open.
But that's the thing. That just shows you. That just shows you where Liverpool are. They get beat off a Forest.
Yeah.
But
and then Arsenal literally make Henderson. I mean, everyone makes Henderson look like garbage. To be fair,
sadly, Jesse Lingard brought his dancing shoes, thinking he was going back to his dancing ground rather than his football boots for this week. Jesse Lingard.
I mean, see, looking at that Arsenal team, okay, another injury to Saka.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's bad or not.
But then Nelson just completely out of nowhere.
That's who's just about to come on to. Boy's been given a chance. Was it Wolfsburg he was at last season, or was it?
There was one of them.
Reece Nelson was at Feyenoord. And a fun fact about Reece that I think Jono will really enjoy this. Same with Boom. Reece has had more involvement in one game in creating chances than Jadon Sancho has all season.
I knew this was coming. I knew that's what you were gonna say.
And Jack Grealish as well.
Because I saw that on Twitter, you told me, so I knew you were gonna say that. And also, I will say a big shout out to the two people in the world, only two managers in the world, captain Reece Nelson for this game in FPL.
Yep. How they knew that was going to happen, which was outstanding. But
they got inside information.
Arsenal, are they the team to topple Man City this season? If
they can keep this up, and not everyone from Arsenal is going to the World Cup. Man City basically has
everybody.
Their starting 11.
Everyone bar Haaland.
Besides Haaland going. I think if Arsenal bring in a player, literally a player in January, they can challenge them. I'm not ready to say Arsenal can win the league. I don't think Arsenal can win the league as of right now. The closer
I think they can challenge, but I do think they need more depth.
Saying it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Slightly more depth. Yeah.
If they bring in a player for the starting 11, a player for the bench, boom, cool. Yeah, you have everything that you need to challenge, not win the title, because you're going to get Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, we're going to win the league." All right, whatever weed you're smoking, I want some because it's pretty damn powerful.
Because they have the balance between experience and youngsters, which is what you need. They have the youth, they have the experienced players there.
But now Man City are accustomed to, no matter where they are, they're going to finish top 2.
Yeah.
At all times. Because that one time they didn't win it, it was Liverpool.
Yeah.
And Liverpool had to play, they had to have a beast of a season.
Almost unbeaten season, Liverpool. Then they just eventually lost to Watford that year.
So if Arsenal can do that, more power to them. It's just like I said, the closer we get to the end of the season, and if this keeps up, then maybe you start hearing me and other people say that they can do it.
So another question, so something that I think you touched on. They've got a younger team, but if you look at their younger players, They're all very, very much experienced players.
Yeah.
You've got Odegaard, you've got Saka, you've got Martinelli, you've got Jesus.
Saliba now is getting experience in the French
Saliba as
national
well.
team as well.
You've got Gabriel, he's not the greatest of defenders, but he's came on leaps and bounds this season.
Ramsdale is doing
Saliba has been very, very solid as well.
You've got Tierney at left back as well with what's his face?
Zinchenko
as well. I mean, Zinchenko, a Premier League winner, bringing in Jesus as well, Premier League winner.
You have the young Fabio Vieira from Porto.
The boy Vieira, he's a mystery to me. He's a good player, but where does he actually fit into that team? Is he still too young to play? Like, kind of
At the moment, he's more like Arteta using him as a person near the end of the game, coming off the bench too.
When you spend a lot of money on Vieira, was it about 35, 40 million?
Yeah.
To keep him on the bench, is it maybe, like you said, Arteta trying to bed him into the team?
I think he's more trying to bed him in because eventually you would think Xhaka is getting on an age. He would eventually need someone to replace Xhaka in the midfield. There's
a player that's changed. See, since he's moved further forward, further forward from that defensive midfielder position, he's not getting himself sent off as much as he used to.
Yeah.
He's not getting himself booked as much as he used to.
He's still a hothead. It's still inside him. But...
it's still inside him, but he's learned to control it, I think, this season, and the fans love him now.
My only question, it is working, but my only question for Arsenal is who thought that Ben White was a right back going into the season? I didn't think he was. But he's playing every game as a right back for that Arsenal squad.
I'd like to put a wee stipulation. It's Benjamin White, as you came out and said. It's Benjamin White.
I will call him Ben
White.
I'll call him Ben now. Weird.
But Ben White again, Brighton. Came from Brighton. Arsenal paid a lot of money for him as well. I think if Arsenal were to play a back three with two wing backs under Arteta, Arsenal would be a force to be reckoned with the back three of Ben White, Saliba, and Gabriel.
You could do that and play, because Zinchenko can literally play any freaking position you need him to besides center back and a goalkeeper. He can do anything.
And plus, you might be helping Garrett. If you want to play Saka as a wing back, you'd be helping Garrett Southgate. He's tried to do this.
You could have Tierney or Zinchenko on the left side. If you have Tierney on the left side, you could play Zinchenko on that right side.
Yep.
Or Reece Nelson could do that because he kind of did that for Feyenoord from time to time. Yes, majority of the time they're playing a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1. But when they wanted to go defensive, they kind of switched to a back five or like a 3-4-1-2 type system, I think it was. And you have Reece Nelson playing more defensive. He can do it. And I mean, that would would improve his chances to create even more than Jadon Sancho has this season. So if they want to do that, they definitely can.
Bim's lost connection.
And I think that, you make a good argument for it because it would make sense. But playing Ben White, or as you're saying, Benjamin White, at right back, no one thought that he could do that. And
I wish I could defend Jadon.
Him and Mikel Arteta are proving a lot of people wrong on that. So if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it.
A big test would be Stamford Bridge this weekend. They go to Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. That's a big test for this Arsenal side and how they progress.
It's probably the. I mean, okay, they got beat off of Man United.
But they were very naive in that game. Arsenal kind of gave us what we wanted.
I don't think this weekend's going to be as big a test for Arsenal due to, as we said before, Chelsea's injury problems. But the game that got postponed because of the PSV game in the Europa League, that'll be the game. Arsenal, Man City.
match, yes.
Yes. They've not played Man City yet.
But you got to put it into this one with the occasion of going to Stamford. They have to get past, these young players will have to get past the occasion of a London at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
Is the challenge on paper.
True.
All right. So we're going to move on to some other results, but just real quick, wanted to say, Chris, did you realize that you said that Man United beat off Arsenal?
I said got beat off of.
Listen, no matter how we do it, a
win's a win.
Exactly. Sometimes you got to do things to get wins.
Exactly.
All right. So some other results that happened over the weekend that we will highlight. Man City beat Leicester 1-0. Leicester still struggling. We got Crystal Palace beating Southampton 1-0. Crystal Palace, very underrated team, I feel. Then you got Brentford and Wolves in a 1-1 draw.
Diogo Costa, angry man.
What?
Diego Costa is a very angry man.
Yeah, he did get sent off. Fulham and Everton in a very boring 0-0 draw. And Manchester United beat West Ham 1-0. And boom, and Jono are happy.
Brilliant David De Gea performance.
Yeah, David De Gea. To be honest, you guys would be so bad without him. You guys would be so bad without him.
Gormy, I said that for many, many years when we were playing terribly. It just now we have a good defense in front of him as well.
Slightly good defense.
Not to do ever. So at this moment, David doesn't need to do as much work as what he used to have to do to keep a clean sheet. Now he only has to turn it on for like a small period in the game where he would have to
you guys have
90 minutes before.
You got Malacia, you got Delo, you got Varane when he's healthy, and then you guys have a Hobbit. When he's fit.
Martinez very angry man, but he's very good at the ball. And Dallo is playing out of his socks in that game.
Dallo is doing good. I mean, turned him into a quality player. But we're moving on into our next major topic, the Champions League for the groups. I don't know if you guys have the groups and whatnot pulled up, but I do have them all pulled up. I'll go through them so that audio listeners and everyone know who is through to the round of 16 and who will be going down to the Europa League. And unfortunately, who had the worst Champions League experience in Champions League history? Chris.
Oh, that's will be fun.
In their history, it's Atletico. They've never finished bottom of their group until this one.
Yeah, I thought that was very surprising. But starting with Group A, we got Napoli topping it, followed by Liverpool, both finishing on 15 points. So Liverpool found their form, and the Champions League still has yet to translate to the league.
Liverpool finishing second on head-to-head.
Yeah. And then Ajax, they're going to the Europa League. Ajax will be – I feel that team is a lot of fun to watch. I enjoy watching them. Yes, it's not the Ten Hag Ajax, but it's a very young and fun team. Yes, you have Dusan Tadic, who's as old as dirt now, same with Daley Blind, but very, very quality side still. And then you have Rangers finishing – on 0 points,
minus 20 goal difference.
Minus 20 goal differential.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead. You
have a minute.
So Rangers were very, very poor. That's being polite about it. They had no chance in that group at all. Absolutely no chance. The 7-1 thrashing from Liverpool. Napoli, they're just something. They're just a team that's on absolute fire at this moment in time.
They are on another level right now.
Spalletti's working wonders with that team. Ajax, I was actually in Glasgow on Tuesday night and speaking to Ajax supporters. And they've got a lot of good young players coming through again. Very much so. But sticking to Rangers, worst ever performance in a Champions League history for a Scottish team and possibly in the whole competition. That is not good enough.
Nope.
And we'll come to my team later on as well. So I'll be bracing for that.
We could eventually in the Europa League, we could have Ajax's against Ten Hag's Man United.
Exactly. That would be awesome.
That could be the draw.
They could actually pick.
Ajax knock you guys out. That'd make my day.
I bet it would, Gorman.
Moving on to Group B, though, we got Porto coming back on the final day to top the group. Porto looking very strong. Club Brugge doing very, very well.
With ex-Liverpool keeper Mignolet.
Yeah, Simone Mignolet looking like an actual goalkeeper now somehow. Then you got Bayer Leverkusen going to the Europa League, and they are coming here to my city, which I get to go see them on the 16th. Super happy about that. And Atletico Madrid finishing bottom. I am not sure what's going on with Atletico Madrid.
They seem like a team
2 seasons after winning a league, and they just
I watched that game against Porto. I watched that game against Porto where they needed a result in there, but they seemed like a team that doesn't want to do a Diego Simeone game anymore. They were a team that doesn't want to defend, and they don't really know how to attack either. They're just ignoring the entire what used to be you will get from a Diego Simeone team, defensively solid and shithousing a win. They were not doing that at all.
Yeah. They're trying not to lose, but when you try not to lose, you're also trying not to win.
And you could see
they don't look good.
João Felix doesn't look like he wants to be there at all, which is why the rumors of him wanting to leave are happening. I can see he doesn't look like he wants to play.
Go to Madrid.
I think he'll end up in the Premier League, and I think he'll end up at Chelsea.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing.
Chelsea do have the money for those kind of things at the moment.
Of course, they have the money.
Well,
he's being linked a lot to United, João Felix, but I don't see us having.
Everyone's linked to United.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's known all the links are to United with João Felix.
Nobody's linked to Liverpool.
No. Oh, Jude Bellingham's linked there. Oh yeah, he'll go to Real Madrid instead. Oh, Chouameni. Oh, next week he's at Real Madrid.
Jude Bellingham is linked to everyone, though.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't leave Dortmund. I don't think he should leave Dortmund. Everyone that leaves Dortmund has a horrible time, except for Lewandowski.
I will say fair play to Xabi Alonso for turning Bayer Leverkusen season around in Europe.
Yep. I think that he's done very, very solid in a short amount of time. Yes, they kind of struggled one weekend in the Bundesliga, but besides that, they've looked all right. But moving on to Group C, another history maker, Bayern Munich. 3 straight years finishing top of their group, not losing.
6 wins, 0 draws, 0 losses in this time.
Then followed by Inter Milan on 10 points.
And then followed by everyone's favorite ball of laughs.
Barcelona going down to the Europa League and Xavi coming out and saying we're forced to go far in it. I hope that you guys get knocked out and your corruption is your downfall.
I love the comment from one of the people on Barca TV saying, if the lever we chose just went straight to the Europa League, and then the lever we activated just went straight to the Europa League, and I just loved that.
And then we have something that really surprised me. So Victoria Pleasant, they did give a fight because honestly, obviously, they were going to be the team to finish bottom of that group.
Twice against Barca in the final game of the group. And against Bayern.
In my opinion, they put up more of a fight than Rangers. I mean, they finished on one less goal differential than Rangers.
And they scored twice against Barca, and they scored twice against Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Well, Rangers scored
Jaromir Jagr, NHL legend, was at that game, by the way. It was pretty dope seeing him there. But moving on to Group D, one of the as John just pointed out in chat, Gerard Piqué is retiring. So Barcelona losing,
which I saw it coming, considering he earns nothing for his football this season.
Yeah.
Group D though, Tottenham topping the group. I thought that they were about to go to Europa League, honestly.
That group went wishy-washy. I was watching it. It was going up and down all the way through.
Everyone said at the beginning that was a bad group. It's like, what are you talking about? Those are four
at one
teams
point,
that anyone can finish top. Anyone can not go through.
It was funny, Gormy. At one point, it literally changed. It was Sporting Marseille. Then it was Frankfurt Marseille. Then it was Frankfurt Tottenham. And then at the very end, Tottenham Frankfurt.
Yep. And so, as Boom just said, Tottenham Frankfurt go through. Sporting go to the Europa League. So almost all three Portuguese teams almost went through to the round of 16. That would have been incredible because we'll get to Benfica in a moment. But Marseille are now out. And what I thought was funny, it's a bit of shithousery from their fans. They were shooting off fireworks at 4 a.m. outside of Tottenham's hotel.
And it woke everyone up, even Conte.
Yeah. So very, very
Alexis Sanchez
almost
almost helped Arsenal for a bunch of laps, but he couldn't get it done.
Yeah. Group E, though, Chelsea able to top something there, finishing top of their group. AC Milan going through for the first time in a while. RB Salzburg
against Salzburg
going to the Europa League, and Dinamo Zagreb out entirely. I think Dinamo Zagreb's going to have some players that get bought.
Dinamo Zagreb did well to go 1-0 up against Chelsea again.
Mm-hmm.
Then it just swung.
Yeah.
Now we're to Chris's depression zone. Group F.
To be fair,
Group F in the chat for Celtic.
to be fair, right? I was at to the Celtic games, and at least we put up a fight. We gave Real Madrid.
I was going to say on the first game week, you looked like you were going to win that game against Real Madrid, and then suddenly Real Madrid were 3-0.
Real Madrid, yeah. Real Madrid woke up. I mean, the chances to be missed, but Celtic are still adapting to that kind of league again, that kind of higher echelon of teams.
Mm-hmm.
But we played well against Shakhtar. We played well against Leipzig. We got absolutely hammered last night of a very, very, very informed Real Madrid team.
Two handball pens in the beginning of that game. Which goes back to the handball rule being confusing for people.
Yeah, because it's gotten really harsh.
The second one for O'Reilly, he can't move. His arms are by his body, and it bounces up and it hits him.
Yeah,
he's turning as well, so there's no chance he can move out the way. But
I think it was Micah Richards who said,
goal by Valverde.
What's he supposed to do? Just face plant into the ground?
Exactly.
That's the only way that it doesn't hit his head.
Chris, do you want to talk about the free kick? That was a beautiful free kick.
Yota's free kick. Yota's free kick.
That was very nice.
I'm going to say this now. If Celtic hold on to Jota this season,
he was such a good signing, and not for a whole heck of a lot.
£6.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing is, if Celtic can hold on to him for next season, we'll make a lot of money off him.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of money.
Yeah, because I could see a big club coming in for him in the next few years.
Benfica fans were absolutely raging when they sold him to Celtic.
Understandably so, but we'll get to Benfica in a minute because they have nothing to worry about right now. I think they're a very scary team.
They are very, very good.
Group F, Real Madrid finished top. RB Leipzig finish in second.
Leipzig
Shakhtar Donetsk down to the Europa League. Leipzig are going to be losing Timo Werner to injury, unfortunately, but RB Leipzig they did look good towards the end.
They beat Real Madrid to give Real Madrid a scare.
Are Real Madrid? They're very, very good. Shakhtar Donetsk, that is an awesome story that they have been performing.
No comment.
At the level that
Mudryk. That boy's a player, by the way. He's
gonna get bought by someone.
Well, the strong
rumor today. To Arsenal.
That's what I'm saying. That is done and dusted.
The goalkeeper Anatoly Trubin is gonna get bought by someone. That was an unfortunate play that he had last night at the near post. But Anatoly Trubin is going to be a world-class goalkeeper.
Isn't he the one they got from Real Madrid?
No, Andrei Lunin is the Ukrainian keeper.
No, but didn't Lunin go from Real Madrid to Shakhtar Donetsk? I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did.
Oh, no, he started recently. He started the El Clasico, Lunin, in goal for
Andrei Lunin's at Madrid, but Anatoly Trubin at Donetsk he's going to be world class. I really like that kid. But moving on to Group G, imagine that.
Unsurprisingly, Man City on top of that group.
Yeah, imagine that. Then you got Dortmund finishing second. And then imagine this, Sevilla in the Europa League again.
Their favorite competition.
Yeah.
The Sevilla Cup.
FC Copenhagen are eliminated.
They had a good game, Copenhagen, against Dortmund at the very end. The decent result for them.
Benfica top it on the last day. Absolute molly-whopping of Maccabi Haifa.
They needed 6 goals.
And they got
a 5-goal margin, and they did somehow get that.
Yeah.
Do you know,
and then
I'm actually looking.
I think that Joao Mario's goal was a bit fishy because I think the goalkeeper could have saved it, but I think Maccabi Haifa knew if they let them score one more time that PSG wouldn't top the group.
Do you know, I'm actually looking. I'm looking at the group right now. So it's 4 wins for Benfica and PSG, 2 draws for Benfica and PSG.
Yeah.
Goals for 16.
Yep.
The same as PSG. Goals against 7.
It went to the 7th decider, which was away goals.
Literally, exactly, went to away goals. Now that's probably going to be one of the worst first in history of the Champions League. That's went down to
the 7th decider. Went down to the 7th decider that they have.
Yep.
Yeah, and then PSG finishing second. Juve crumbling down even further.
Paul Pogba has not played a professional game for this Juve side.
No, he is not. Juve finishing third. And Maccabi Haifa, I liked what they brought to the table. They aren't obviously a massive club. They are in Israel. They are one of the top dogs in Israel. But they beat Juve. That's a massive result for them.
At home.
That is a historic win for them.
In front of their home fans. I will give you a fact that you'll love, Coleman. The last team that they beat by that margin in the Champions League was United under Sir Alex Ferguson.
Really?
It was the last time they got a big result like that.
Their goalkeeper's American as well. Their goalkeeper's American. But that is enough on the Champions League. Do we think, though, who do we have as our front runners to be in the final?
The Champions League.
Yeah, we'll go to Boom first. The man to my right.
Front runners to be in the final. I would have to, at the moment, say the likes of Bayern Munich and Man City.
Really? What makes you say Bayern? Because they just.
I just look at Bayern are the type of team. They'll either be on form in the Champions League one season and then be absolutely terrible the next season. That's how Bayern have always. They usually have a good run and then a bad run in the knockout stages. And they didn't do particularly well last Champions League. I think this season they will go all out for it again. That's what they like to do. And
what about you, Mr.
They've
Chris?
invented their side with Choupo-Moting and scoring some big goals.
Yeah.
Man City cannot be discredited this season just because of a certain robot they have got up front. But I personally cannot see past Real Madrid. The way Ancelotti's got Real Madrid playing, they could leave out. Yeah, Benzema.
Valverde's on fire at the moment.
Fede Valverde, brilliant. Vinny Jr. If he has a fantastic World Cup, Real Madrid will win the league and they'll win the Champions League because Real Madrid, in my opinion, are the best team in the world at this moment in time.
Mm-hmm. Even though Man City are the ones that won that award. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly,
But-
that's done by people who are nominated for the Ballon d'Or, and that's why City got
Yeah.
more Ballon d'Or nominees.
Yeah. But for me, I'm going to go with what Chris said, Real Madrid and
Apple
Man
15?
City.
Is that what you say?
But I will say, if Bayern Munich are still struggling to potentially win the Bundesliga, because they are right now, Union Berlin look phenomenal.
Yeah.
If they're still struggling to win the league, Bayern Munich are going to show no mercy in the Champions League. And it could be Real Madrid versus Bayern Munich.
Yeah, that's
It could
very
also
easy
be
with the
Real
top.
Madrid versus Man City. I think Real Madrid's getting there no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, Real
I
Madrid
think
have
it's just
the.
that other team.
I mean, with the thing behind me, the audio listeners will know I have a Real Madrid plaque right there. I do.
Yeah.
They are my Spanish team, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the way Real Madrid play football. It's
suited for the
It's
Champions
scary.
League a lot more
Yeah.
than a lot
It's
of.
a lot of fun to watch.
it's
It's a
scary.
lot of fun to watch. They look really, really freaking good.
I had the amazing thing of being in Spain when they were playing Liverpool in the Champions League final.
Nice.
So
Mhm.
I got to see some of the celebrations and it was very good.
But all right, real quick, we'll talk about the Europa League. There's one thing that I wanted to bring up about the Europa League, and it is a group that finished on 8 points all the way through.
I was gonna say the Feyenoord, Midtjylland, Lazio, and Graz all at 8 points.
All on 8 points. The 4 teams that Boom just mentioned all finished on 8 points, and only thing separating them is goal differential. Absolutely wild. Like that's literally the most even group probably in Europa League history.
Yeah.
It is incredible that happened. And I believe it was Feyenoord they went through.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
Michelin.
Feyenoord and Midtjylland went
And
through.
Michelin, yeah.
Yeah.
Feyenoord topped the group.
Mm.
So, but
then the
very,
other
very
games-
interesting there in the Europa League. And there's going to be from the teams that we had
They
talked
will
about
have
that
to
are
play the
going
Champions
down.
League.
The Europa League is going to
They will have to play.
high
One of them will
quality
have to
teams.
play Manchester United. That couldn't get their 2-0 win that they only won by 1-0 today.
Mm-hmm. But there's going to be a lot of high quality teams.
And Union Berlin is actually getting to the playoff as well at the moment. They are currently second. They are 1-0 up in their game, as it stands.
It's going to be. I mean, the Europa League is no slouch, in my opinion. No slouch. I think that the Europa League is still a lot of fun to watch, and with these
It's
with these
picking up
teams going down,
traction.
too.
It's
It
picking
is.
up traction now. I mean,
And
a lot
arguably,
of-
you could say that the Europa League is as good as the Champions League this year with some of the ties that we could
yeah,
be getting.
that's what
coming
that's
down.
what I say. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. There's a lot of big teams, especially coming down from the Champions League. But
You could have Man United, Juve.
You have Man United Barcelona, which was a final in the Champions League a long time ago.
But the thing is, I mean, I watched a lot of Europa League last season because obviously Rangers were in it and
Yeah.
watched a lot of it. But the way that the Europa League, anyone can win that. It's not like there's a set team. Like we just said, there's not got a Real Madrid. They've not got a Man City to run away with it.
Mhm.
There's about 7 to 10 teams easily could win that.
English teams
Yeah,
don't
because
usually
with
do
the
too well
Champions
in
League,
the
someone
Europa
has
League.
to have a miracle run.
Yeah.
Like someone has to have a miracle run for that to happen. Like
Chelsea
the
2012.
the Porto. There we go. The
Cristiano
Porto
went to
of
United
Jose
Ajax
Mourinho.
final.
Like
I-
it's got to be a miracle run.
Chelsea 2012, Napoli, when they were 4-1 down after the first leg to win at Stamford Bridge and then go on the run that they did under Di Matteo.
Mhm.
It could happen again for some.
With the Europa League, it's one of those ones where, like, English teams as a whole, like you rarely win it. To be fair, if you look at the past of the Europa League winners,
Mhm.
In the last 4 before Bayer Leverkusen were all Sevilla.
yeah, they were all Spanish teams, and then you had
You mean
you had
Chelsea.
Chelsea, and
Right
then you
there.
had United in 1 year as well.
Yep, Chelsea won it 2
2017
years.
number.
Chelsea won it
Mm.
twice. 2013 and obviously 2017 when they beat Arsenal in
Yeah.
as well. So yeah,
Mhm.
but Europa League's, I think Europa League's it's gonna be interesting to see who wins that this year, because obviously they gain access straight away to the Champions League for next year.
All eyes on Sevilla.
Exactly. Again.
I think a league that people should pay attention to is the Bundesliga.
Oh, that's a mad one.
I'm not a huge fan of people saying it's a one-team league because it's not.
Hmm.
If you take out Bayern Munich and their 10 consecutive titles, which they have because they're amazing at doing business,
And essentially,
you take them out, it's anyone's league.
Essentially, with Bayern Munich this season, with losing Lewandowski, their manager tried to change it to a non-striker system, which wasn't working. And recently he has changed back to using a striker, and that's why Choupo-Moting's actually starting and scoring a lot of goals, because he switched it back to a striker focal point system rather than what he used to do just for the first few games. Mane as like the non-striker striker.
Yeah, the false nine kind of situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean and right now, I mean, I realistically could see 3 teams winning the Bundesliga: Union Berlin, Bayern Munich, Freiburg. I think any of them 3 could do it. It's just how long. It's like the Arsenal situation.
Yeah.
How long can a team like Union Berlin and Freiburg keep up with Bayern Munich? How long can Arsenal keep up with Man City? That's what it comes down to. But moving on to, I think it's our final topic now before we get into a new segment that is Boom's segment. Final topic is future of the U.S. national team. The future of how far Christian Pulisic can carry a country. Which I think everyone reads way too much into Christian Pulisic. I think the kid has way too much pressure on him. At all times. I mean,
LeBron James soccer, my friend.
I freaking hate that. I can't stand that people call him that. 1, because I don't like LeBron James, and 2, because I don't.
It just happened because of like some TV show was talking about him. It's like, this guy's like the LeBron James of soccer, right? And it just caught on.
Yeah, I think it was Men in Blazers that did
it.
Yeah. But yes, Christian Pulisic is a phenomenal player for the U.S. men's national team. You also have Weston McKennie, who I think is the focal point of the team. The team does not perform well when he is not in it. You then also have Tyler Adams, who's pretty damn good. You have Serginho Dest, who is going to have a very bright future. We now have Joe Scally, who is tearing it up at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Gabriel Slonina, we talked about earlier, could potentially become the new number 1 at Chelsea if he wins a goalkeeper battle. You then also have Brendan Aronson, who is unfreaking believable, and if he is not starting every game at the World Cup, I don't know what Greg Berhalter is doing. You have Ricardo Pepi, who is the future striker for the national team. And you got a young man in the name of Yunus Musa, who is a lot of fun to watch as well. You also have players like Tim Weah, Caden Clark, a couple other players that are very, very solid coming up and that make immediate impacts as well. But everyone that I just named, not a single one is a center back. That is a major, major problem in the national team. There is a center back that I think should start game in, game out, but he has not been given the opportunity. And Chris knows where I'm going with this. His name is Cameron Carter-Vickers. He has not been given the opportunity. I would much rather have him over Long and Walker Zimmerman. I think that him with Walker Zimmerman would be awesome. And in a World Cup group with England, Iran, and Wales, which there's definitely some ties with the U.S., England, and Iran, and everyone probably knows why. Very, very interesting group there. Yeah. But I definitely think if we take the right kids and the right vets, we play the right system, which hopefully is a 4-3-3, I think that we can definitely go through and do some damage in the World Cup. I definitely think it's possible. I definitely think it's possible if England underperform, which I definitely think there's a possibility of that happening, because Wales and the U.S. are not going to make it easy for England whatsoever. Iran is kind of that team that no one's going to really give too much credit to because they aren't known for having top quality players. But even them, they can cause an upset and get a draw that forces a team like the U.S., like Wales, like England to not go through. I definitely think with the future of the U.S. national team that this World Cup will tell us a lot with how the players perform, and especially depending on who we take, because if we take Gio Reyna and he's sitting on the freaking bench, I'm going to lose my damn mind, because that's what has happened in the Gold Cup, the Nations League. Anything we do, he's always coming off the bench.
Yeah.
That kid walked through the Mexican national team in Mexico City. Walked through them. I haven't seen anyone do that since a Clint Dempsey. Like, no one has been able to do that. Not even Pulisic. So, I mean, you see all these. It's definitely a golden generation for the U.S. national team. Definitely is. But center back is the weakness. It 100% is. Because besides Cameron Carter-Vickers, we got Miles Robinson at Atlanta United, and that's about it.
There's another one I can think of that's playing again in Scotland, James Sands.
Yeah, you brought him up before.
Who's playing
at
centre back.
There's an American kid. I don't think he's a center back. I think he's a midfielder. Playing at Birmingham, who just had a worldie of a goal.
Yeah, 18-year-old boy, I think it was.
Yeah,
from Man United.
Worldie of a goal.
From Man United, I think it was.
And then, I mean, we're definitely going to have the depth. We're going to have the options. It's just center back is that weak link.
Yeah, the weekend
right now. I think that, like I said, the World Cup is going to tell us a lot for the future. Now, managerial-wise, if we get knocked out in the groups, Berhalter better be going. It's the same thing with England. If England gets knocked out, Southgate better be gone. If England don't get to a semifinal, I think he better be gone. If we make it out of the groups, past the round of 16, Greg Berhalter stays 100%.
I would say if England don't top their group, Southgate should be gone.
Yeah.
Do you guys, okay, on a rating of 1 to 10, how does the U.S. team and the Welsh team, so grade them individually, stack up against England?
I think with the Wales team, they've got a wee bit more kind of know-how. They've got a lot of good key players that's played in the Euros against some of these kind of.
And they played against England before.
Played against England. I mean, you've got the experience from Gareth Bale. You've got, like we talked about earlier, we've got what's his face from Bournemouth. Kiefer Moore. You've also got Aaron Ramsey if he can get fit.
You have the pace of Dan James. He's always.
You've got Dan. I mean, Dan James is a weird one for me. He's not been playing great football, but when he plays with Wales, it's a different Dan James.
You have someone that Gormy is familiar with. Ben
Cabango as well.
Cabango, yeah. I mean, you think about it, the Welsh national team, I think at the Euros there were 6 either current Swans or former Swansea players in the starting 11.
Joe Allen, another one.
Yeah, because Joe Allen is probably going to go for Wales.
And then you have the
Benkabango.
ex-United midfielder, Livet.
Dylan Levitt. Yeah,
you
he
got
played for
Dan
Dundee United
James.
just now.
Yeah.
You got I said Joe Allen, Ben Cabango, Dan James, Connor Roberts. There's 4 off the top of my head that were all Swans. So I mean, it used to be a heck of a lot more. There used to be a lot more Swansea players, especially when Ashley Williams was playing.
I mean, compare that to the US team. There's a lot more youngsters.
US team is younger.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
A lot more younger players are playing. But the thing is, we see some of these players, like you said, Pulisic, you see Tyler Adams, you see Aronson. Yeah, Aronson. I think Aronson could, if Aronson has a good World Cup, a very good World Cup for USA, he could get a move from Leeds to maybe a bigger team. He's good enough.
I don't know if he would want to. I think that him and Tyler Adams are kind of a package.
You also have the Fulham left
they
back.
both
Robinson.
played the Red Bull way. They both
Anthony Robinson.
Way.
You have Robinson from Fulham as well.
Jedi Robinson.
Fulham are doing quite good. So
yeah, I mean the team is very, very young. Wales has the experience. If I were giving like a 1 to 10 rating on the possibility of the US and Wales beating England, I would give Wales a 7. I would also give the US a 7 because I feel everyone in the US national team has something to prove to the nation of England. I really feel that, especially Christian Pulisic.
I was going to say, especially Pulisic, because from the Chelsea point of view, he's not been given a fair crack at the whip. When he's been given a chance, he's not taking it.
I mean, you got to look at it.
He does sometimes. He does sometimes.
Yeah,
the odd occasion, he can definitely do better. It's just
also Reina would want to prove himself.
And I mean, it's yes. There's a saying you can't win with kids. That's a complete lie. You can't.
I wonder who said that.
Arsenal's doing it. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, the big game is Black Friday here. Us against England. That is going to tell all on.
It'd be interesting to see
We've
about
done the future of the English national team. We are now doing the future of the U.S. national team. It'll say a lot about
Weston McKennie's fit enough for the because he's expected to come back on the 14th just before he's going to.
If Weston
the World
isn't
Cup.
fit enough, Tyler Adams is going to have to do.
But like
much.
Weston McKennie is supposed to be fit on the 14th is when he's expected to come back from that injury. On the 14th, just before the World Cup starts.
We're going to take him no matter what.
Yeah,
I don't think the England USA game will decide the group. I think it'll be USA versus Wales.
It'd be the one that it'd be who gets the result out of the other.
For how the U.S. national team will be perceived going forward.
Oh yeah. If they can get a result,
media will big up the England result if one of you can get a result out of England.
I mean, we kind of spoke this on the kind of the future of the England national team. If USA get a result against England, either a draw or somehow they get a win. That will send shockwaves through the English hierarchy.
Yeah,
but also will send shockwaves through the US national team as well, because
the one thing that I think we'll have over them in the game is pace.
But the thing is with Wales, and USA, that's the first opening game in that group.
Yeah.
For them.
The thing is, like I was going to say, the thing is with the US, like you said, is their defense. You've not got the greatest record of keeping clean sheets. And
against Mexico, we do.
Against Mexico. Yeah, against Mexico. But if
against anyone else, we don't know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah.
And on the opening day, that could actually be big for like in Group B of that, because you would think the way England is, like the way we talked about it, like Iran could very easily get a result out of that.
Yeah, they
Out of
could get a
nowhere.
draw. I think that the U.S. and Wales need to have a meeting outside of everything and be like, okay, we're gonna draw 1-1, right? Yeah, all right, cool.
So what you're saying is do corruption in Qatar? I mean,
It's already been
Never
done.
be, yeah.
It's already been done.
I mean, right.
But
So
no, I think that it'll be like you guys are saying, that first game, Wales, US.
Yeah.
If either team wins, that team's going through.
yeah. So right, Gorman, with your non-biased head on, who is going through out of that group between yourself and Wales and Iran? Because we would think England's going to win that group, but
You would
who's
think, but I don't think that way. Whether I'm biased or not.
right? Who do you think is going through?
I
Then?
think England, the national team, embodies Tottenham and Arsenal into one. They are professionals at screwing things up on
True.
the national stage. They really are.
True.
So if we're saying all right, we're gonna hypothetically for this.
Yes.
England are 100% going through. Who do I
Yes.
think out of Wales and the US goes through? If the US play to the top of their capabilities and Gerd Brohalter doesn't overmanage and make stupid decisions on who he brings, we can.
Kind of
The
like
likelihood of that happening is very low, though.
you're bringing Gorman, you're basically saying what I said about the Ireland manager Stephen Kenny, like
Yeah,
his
so
decisions in games just confuse people at times.
if not, then Wales is going through because
I saw a lot of predictions that I've seen.
it's also
about
going to
that
come
group.
down to
A lot of
what
people are
Gareth
overlooking
Bale,
Wales.
what Gareth Bale is going to be at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Is it going to be Real Madrid Champions League final Gareth Bale?
Or LAFC Gareth Bale.
But yeah.
But then,
Basically.
to be honest, he went to LFSC just to keep fitness up and nothing else. He's
So,
not
here's-
committed
here's-
with that.
Play golf.
So
A lot of people from predictions that I've seen has England topping the group and USA to finish second. Everyone's overlooking Wales as an entity in that group. From
Yeah.
what I've seen from everyone's
see the thing is with Wales. If we've kind of touched on this before, like previously, with the Welsh, they've got a very, very good team, but again, it's a more older team as well. They've not got a lot of young coming through kind of players like the US has, England potentially has as well.
Not
But-
potentially, they do.
Yeah, well, as if they get picked or played.
Yeah, which won't happen.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But
But thing is with USA, I think USA are going to be the surprise package, like you said, if they pick the right team. Which my question was, when is the US national team's final decision for their
I
World
think
Cup
it's next week.
next week?
I think a lot of them are next week going to announce their
Yeah.
actual squads. There's a lot of rumors,
Yeah.
some questionable ones when you look at England, but there's a lot of rumors and who's in
Well,
provisional squads.
if I don't see Cameron Carter-Vickers on the plane to Qatar, I'll be surprised.
Yeah,
I'll
he
be
definitely
very,
should.
very surprised.
He definitely should.
I mean,
Same with Jordan Pifo of Union Berlin.
yeah.
That is a striker. That is what we don't have.
Mhm.
We don't know who our striker is. That is another thing. We don't know who. If you don't know who, freaking throw Christian up there. He can score goals. He's done it before. But it's either Josh Sargent, Jesus Ferreira, Ricardo Pepi, or Jordan Pifo. I would take Jordan Pifo out of all of them. I don't care that he is slightly gone off form. The dude is unbelievable. He will perform.
Do you
Then
take
you have Josh Sargent. He's the only other one that
scoring goals?
has been scoring.
Do you
Ricardo Pepi had some good games, and then Jesus Ferreira, because he's in the MLS. Oh, we're gonna bring him. We're gonna bring homegrown talent. Really, he's not good enough.
Do
He
you
should be
take
in
Timo
midfield.
Weah?
Who?
You take Timo Weah So the young
I would take Tim Weah, but he's a winger in our setup. He is a winger.
he can play up front.
I
as
know,
well.
but he won't. Burrow-Halter won't do that.
That's just smart.
Yunus Musa,
Who does he play for?
Valencia. Yunus Musa, in my opinion, would be much better utilized as a winger, but we play him in central midfield.
Okay, that makes no sense at all. But
it's like Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott's a winger, but we play him in central midfield at Liverpool.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with Yunus Musa. But I mean, Yunus Musa is like Brendan Aronson in that he has a crazy work engine. Like, he is a workhorse. Like, if say Weston McKennie is not fit and we play 4-3-3, Tyler Adams is that defensive midfielder, then you have Yunus Musa and Brendan Aronson. That is 3 absolute workhorses who can all make plays as well. I would be confident in that. I would be, but I would much rather prefer it be a Brendan Aronson, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, or Brendan Aronson, Tyler Adams, and then Weston McKennie here. Like, just those 3, I know what I'm going to get out of them 3.
Yeah.
Consistently, because they don't let the national team down. Those 3 do not let them down. Christian Pulisic at times has, but Christian Pulisic, if he is, like we've been saying, he has a lot to prove. And if he is in that mode to it's me against the world, he's going to be unbelievable.
The thing, I think, like you said, he's got an entire nation literally on his back.
They all do, and they're all young.
But the thing is, because he gave us a captain's armband, I think it's a lot. That's a lot more pressure. Like we said earlier on, the comment that we don't like is he's LeBron James of the US national team.
Yeah.
Let him play football. Let him do what he knows. Get off his back. I mean, I like Pulisic. I think he's been mistreated at Chelsea, and
he's a player that, like I said earlier, Jude Bellingham shouldn't leave Dortmund because when players leave, they don't have a good time. Only one that did was Louis. Pulisic
I think you should have allowed Pulisic to go to United on loan.
Have a good time.
No.
I mean,
Pulisic and Sancho should have never. We would have used them because our wingers were like not in form.
The thing is, that would have never have happened because of the rivalry.
No, I know the rivalry wouldn't, but we would have used him for his own benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree, but I do not. That's what I'm saying. I do not think for a second that Chelsea would.
Chelsea wouldn't have allowed it, but I'm saying for him, he should.
I think the only way that would have happened, Boom, is so that the Glazers could make money.
Yeah.
Because if Pulisic goes to Man United, that is an American.
It's what the Glazers wanted. Ten Hag actually wanted it at the time. We were exploring that option because we needed wingers at the time.
Yeah.
Because our wingers were out of form, as you could.
Yeah.
Is your
Jurgen Klopp's wanted them too.
Your case about Sancho twice earlier. Our wingers aren't exactly. Now Rashford has gotten into form now, so that's at least one.
But go back to USA. Go back to the USA. If the right team, how far do you think you can go?
Quarters. Yeah, with the right team, and if everything is going perfectly, quarters. If it ends up being a miracle run, and to where we are just making people look like they don't know what they're doing, yeah, I think we could get to a final. The possibility of that happening is like 15 to 20%.
So you would view quarterfinals as success for America in this world?
100%.
Do you think it's enough to keep you the current manager in the position?
1,000%.
So, if we're talking hindsight here, if your current manager doesn't do well, gets sacked, who do you bring in as your future?
If Jesse Marsh gets sacked, Jesse Marsh.
Would you go back for Klinsmann?
See, I didn't mind Klinsman.
Klinsman had just playing some nice football. He had
we did in the group that we had in Brazil. We didn't look horrible.
Yep, he's kind of played European style football. If you think on it,
I mean, he's managed over there and actually done okay.
Yeah,
but if it's not Jesse Marsch, I think the old Stuttgart manager that got sacked was American, so maybe him.
Yeah.
If not those two, this guy I don't think has any managerial experience, but I'd love to see it because he had the best rant in American football history, Taylor Twellman. He is. If you guys have seen the clip, the "What Are We Doing" one,
yeah,
that was him. He played in the setup. He played in the MLS. He knows what we need to do. If it was him and I can't think of his name right now. Tall ginger guy. Can't think of his name.
Is he Scottish by any chance?
No, hold on. I have to look this up. This men's national team stars. I mean, you could go the Landon Donovan route. You could bring him in because he manages in Mexico.
Would you bring in someone like Donovan or
Alexi Lalas?
Okay. Would you bring
Taylor
in
Twellman, Alexi Lalas? I would love because it's kind of going that route that Belgium is. Roberto Martinez and Pierre Henry. They know what they're talking about. They both played.
I'll throw this one to you. What about, like you said, a former player? Mm-hmm. What about Clint Dempsey or like you said,
I would love Clint Dempsey. He would be like Antonio Conte on the national scene. He would be sent off a couple times, especially when we're playing Mexico.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm definitely interested in it to where we would have a former player, even if it's just like an assistant coach role, because they're going to offer something that Berhalter does not see or think.
Yeah, another perspective.
Because right now, it's Berhalter's way or the highway.
Yeah.
Just like Southgate. Southgate's way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's... Those would be my options if Berhalter is sacked.
Yeah. I mean, the more you kind of think on it, a lot of teams, especially national teams, are going down the former kind of player route now. If you think on it, Scotland, Steve Clark.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Steve Clark at Scotland, Gareth Southgate at England, Robert Page at Wales. You had Stephen Kenny at obviously Ireland. You had Barraclough at Northern Ireland as well, who sadly lost his job. You've got Luis Enrique at Spain as well. You think you've got ex-players managing their national team and who know what it is to play for the badge and try to get the best out of them.
Yeah.
That's maybe something that the US could and probably should look at because, like you said, the manager you've got just now isn't picking the right style. And
it's MLS or nothing, and that's not going to win you anything internationally.
It's like Gareth Southgate is Premier League or nothing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've discussed that before. Like, Fikayo Tomori should 100% be in the starting 11, and he's not because he's playing in Italy. Jude Bellingham is only in the starting 11 because of how freaking good he is.
Exactly.
We played Jesus Ferreira against Japan and Saudi Arabia, looked horrible when we should have been playing Jordan Pefok, who was smashing it at the time in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of these managers are starting to do that.
I mean,
it's driving me crazy.
I mean, the thing is, like we said,
if you have the quality, why not use it? Is my
exactly. I mean, if you've got that quality in the background, like you say, you've got a lot of players who are playing European Champions Leagues. You're playing some of the best in some of the best leagues in the world. Why not utilize it? Utilize that strength. You're playing like you said. You've got players that's playing in the Bundesliga. You've got players playing in the Champions League. You've got players playing in England. You've got players playing in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them for like kind of what's their experiences abroad, and then bring it together.
Yeah,
bring it together.
Boom, you got anything to add?
And no, I'm just fascinated with the thing. I didn't know much about the American national team until you were talking. It's pretty much the same problems that I have heard from the Irish team that he overthinks it in games, Stephen Kenny and stuff.
Yeah.
You're saying the exact same thing with America.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you'll have, like you said, you have Obafemi come off, but Parrott stays on.
Yeah.
When Parrott's playing rubbish, and then Obafemi is playing pretty solid.
Yeah.
We'll have that same thing happen. And it's like, okay, what are we doing here, bud? Because it ain't right. But with all that being said, it is time for a new segment, Fantasy Premier League, brought to you by Crazy Boom. Here we go. All right, so what do you have in store for us, Mr. Boom?
Yes, Fantasy Premier League. Well, we will, first of all, I will mention we have partnered with the FM Hub for this. The winner of the league will be getting themselves a plaque of whatever they want to put on it.
Now, what does that mean? Explain that to the viewers and the listeners.
At the very end of the season, who's ever number one, which at the moment is a man by the name of GG513.
Mm-hmm.
If he can keep that at the end, he will win himself a nice plaque. He can put his favorite team on it or his fantasy team if he really wants to.
All right, so a print up of
a print up of a lineup. Very nice. There's a lot of very close between the top three at the moment. GD has a big lead with he's 8-7-6. So if we can keep that.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is a man by the name of Lucas A. He has 823 points.
Mm-hmm.
And his team is called Ake and Saltfish. No Ake in his team though, disappointingly. But a lot of low to average, kind of below average scores this week in the top three teams. Some are in third of that. A lot of just the average was 59 for this week points wise.
I think that's because people just left in Erling Haaland.
Yeah, a lot of people did have Erling Haaland to end up going onto the bench.
So was I.
I was also one of those people.
We know fantasy football.
And unfortunately for GG, his replacement for Haaland on the bench was Ivan Toney, who only got 1 point in that 1-1 draw. So, but he did have Almiron, and Trippier, Trippier was his vice captain. So it was a good pick from him.
Mm-hmm.
To have that as a vice. And he had Trossard, which we talked about earlier. So he has some good players. He does have Alisson as a keeper, though.
Interesting.
Which is with Sanchez as a keeper on the bench, so probably should have played Sanchez.
I have Sanchez starting. I think Sanchez is a quality keeper for Brighton. Not gonna lie,
I do agree.
Whereas Mr. Lucas had Sanchez in his goal, and he has Ward on the bench as his keeper, probably for the best, keeping Ward on the bench.
Yeah. Now, do you think
players? He did have Cucurella though in his defense. Is the only downside for Mr. Lucas.
Do you think players like Trossard and Miguel Almiron, who we talked about in length earlier, are two top quality options for fantasy?
Yes, I do.
And will they be in team of the season for fantasy?
They probably will be, especially Almiron. I would recommend anyone who hasn't bitten the Almiron cookie to actually go for this weekend because they go against Southampton, who at the moment their defense is about as solid as a cookie itself. You're gonna break. It's gonna break. It's literally
brittle.
Gavin Bazunu. It's literally Gavin Bazunu versus everyone.
No bias there whatsoever because he's Irish.
Exactly. But he'll only cost you 5.6 million, which is a steal in fantasy for Almiron on his form. His form is literally an 8.4, and that's going to keep going up. So I would just take the bite for this game for him. And Trippier at 5.9. If you haven't got Trippier, I don't know what you're doing. But
are they your must gets right now?
They're my must gets. I would say for a Trossard, if you have the extra money and the free transfers to do it, you would put a Trossard in there. Especially if you want to jingle around, because no one knows if the robot is fit this week or not. I'm going to take the risk in having him still in the robot.
Yeah.
But that's if you haven't put Almiron in, just put him in. What are you? You got nothing to lose.
Yeah, literally nothing. Because I mean, if he doesn't get a goal, he's gonna get an assist.
Exactly. Especially with Newcastle at the moment, they're on fire. I have in my team, I have Nick Pope, Trippier, and Almiron now.
Yeah. Now, is Nick Pope a viable fantasy option when the defense is really, really like doing very well in front of him, and he only faces a couple shots?
Nick Pope is like at the moment he's getting things like he only costs you 5.3, so it's a keeper option that's quite cheap.
What's the average?
His form is a 4.4, so just like a normal.
All right.
Keeper thing. And because I'm Irish, I have Gavin as my backup keeper.
Can you imagine that?
But yeah,
I mean,
at the
to
moment,
be fair,
I would recommend Newcastle and Man City players.
I had Brendan Aronson in my lineup for a long while before I took him out.
Yeah, just I would recommend. It's basically at the moment the high scorers are Man City and Newcastle for points wise recently.
Makes sense. They're both on fire.
And Arsenal, on occasion, some of their players like Odegaard this week did very well on fantasy team. And I also have, because he's up there in my fantasy team, I have Andreas Pereira, because he does come up with things now and again for Fulham. He's one of those players that is getting surprisingly amount of points.
Now,
with Mitrovic, yes.
I don't know if anyone's ever done Bundesliga fantasy football. The way that they do their scoring system is crazy awesome, because goals, assists, tackles, interceptions, passing, shots, all of that you get points for. I think João Palhinha would be an incredible must-get in that scenario from Fulham, because he's been incredible for him. He doesn't get the goals and assists for Premier League fantasy, but if it was any other way of scoring, that dude would be unreal.
Yeah, I do think they should have a different way of scoring, because a lot of things like it eliminates some players that do have good games but just don't get on the assist sheet.
Yeah.
And they get very poor points. But when you look at the game, the team won because of them. Even though they got no assist or thing, they are the ones that changed the game.
Yeah.
Case in point at times, Casemiro for United.
Yeah.
So he's changed the thing, but he's not the prolific goal scorer or assist getter. He's just an engine and a rock in that thing. And if it was that other points, he probably would get a lot more points. Those other systems. But now on to my favorite part, which I'm going to love to do on the thing. The FPL player that's dead to me this week. And I say that literally because they have annoyed me this week, and that is Mr. Freedom of London City, Harry Kane. He might have the freedom of London, but he doesn't have the freedom to get more than 1 point against Bournemouth.
Yeah, and we talked about that matchup earlier. Harry Kane should definitely be getting more than 1 point.
It's one of those ones where I'm just like,
Harry
back from
Kane
2 goals down and he gets 1 point.
I feel Harry Kane, from a fantasy perspective, is one of the most inconsistent players out there because
He got
he's
2
either
points for
going to do
lasting 90
nothing for 3 weeks and then get you a hat trick or score a goal every other week.
Yeah,
Like,
this,
you
the
never
breakdown
know
is
what's gonna
he got 2 points for just playing 90 minutes, then lost one because he got a yellow card, which got him to 1 point.
And he's worth how much?
He would set you back on fantasy. I will look this up now. He is 11.6 million.
Yeah,
For
definitely
1
not
point.
worth it. You know who is definitely worth that, though? Miggy Almiron and Leandro
Yeah,
Trossard.
and you have Jesus who cost 8 million and he got quite a lot of points. He got 18 for me. Jesus, so he's putting his North London enemy to shame.
Well, all right. That about does it here this week for the RTL Football Podcast. I hope everyone enjoyed. I've been your host, Gormy. We also had on Mr. Crazy Boom and Chris Watt. Boom. Where can people find you at on your socials?
You can find me at crazyboom__ on both Twitter and Twitch, and Boompool on YouTube.
There we go. Mr. Chris Watt, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitch, ChrisWatt89 and ChrisWatt_Watt89 at Twitter and soon to be on YouTube as well. Not got my handle yet.
There we go. Good to see you're getting on YouTube. You can find me at YGormy on YouTube and Twitter. Also can find me on FM Base as I do content for them as well on YouTube. But that has been it from us this week. I hope everyone enjoyed once again. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you're watching on YouTube and share it with friends and family as well if you think that they would enjoy content such as this. We will probably have some short snippets of this pod up in the near future as well for people so that they can see certain segments that they would be interested in. But with all that being said, until next time, have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.